My name is Esty Stith. I am the Assistant Data Manager for the Office of Career and Technical Education, and today I'm going to give you a quick little tutorial on how to enter your work-based learning records into Infinite Campus. As you see, I have Infinite Campus open right here. This is the staging site, so I'm not messing with any real student records here. We're just using this for training purposes today. First, you want to select the student that you want to enter a work-based learning record for. To get to the Career Readiness tab, you're going to go to Student Information. You're going to go down to Program Participation. That's where you will find Career Readiness. If you do not yet have a student selected, here it will prompt you to select a student. As you can see, this student here does not have any work-based learning records to display right now. So we're going to make a new record for them. We click the New button here. First, you want to start with entering a start date. If this student started this experience at the beginning of the year, that's where you want to put the start date. So I'm going to say August 12th. For the program status, I'm going to select Career Readiness. That's the only option. And for end date, you can fill that in now or later, whenever the student finishes the experience. For status, you have three options. You can choose Pass, In Progress, or Fail. You want to select Pass if the student has accumulated 300 hours and their supervisor says that they have passed the experience. You want to select In Progress if they have not yet completed 300 hours, but they are making progress towards that goal. You want to select Fail if after the required time period, the student has not accumulated 300 hours. I'm going to make an In Progress record. For the career readiness type, you can choose a co-op or a paid or unpaid internship, whichever one is appropriate. I'm going to choose co-op. Career cluster, you can select whatever fits best with the work-based learning experience for that student. I'm going to select the first option, agriculture, forestry, fishing, and hunting. For the aligned credential or degree, that is not required for you to fill out. You can leave it blank. However, if you want to fill it out for your school or district's records, feel free to do so. Now, since I'm doing an in progress record, I'm going to say that this student has only accumulated 200 hours. They have not reached 300. Now, it's really important that you enter course information. If you do not enter a valid work-based learning state course code, then this experience is not going to count. So you want to click the Add button, and it's very important that you're using a valid state course code for work-based learning. You can enter anything you want here, but it's useful to use the drop-down menu because these are all valid work-based learning state course codes. And if you select from here, you can be sure that you are selecting a valid code. So I'm going to select Agricultural Education Co-op. To fill in the course number and course name, you can start by entering that same course number here. And then if you select your course, it will update the course name. Note that the course number and the course name is not as important for us than the state code. This is what we look at to make sure the experience is valid. And we'll say the student is earning 1 credit for this work-based learning course. You have the option here to add more than one course codes. Now, we strongly encourage you to only use one state course code per entry. The reason for that is if you add multiple codes, and even if only one of those codes is not a valid work-based learning state course code, then this entire entry will not count. If you really want to add another course, please make sure that that course is also a valid work-based learning state course code. Because again, if it's not, it will not count. And the reason is we don't know of these 200 hours, we do not know how many of that hours go to the valid code, how many go to the invalid code. Employer information is not required to fill out, but again, if you want to fill that out for your school or district records, please feel free to do so. I'm going to click Save, and now we can see that this student now has a career readiness record. Now you can update this throughout the year. Let's say that this student has now gained more hours. To update this record, I click View, And let's say that this student has now accumulated another 100 hours. That means in total, they will now have 300 hours. That also means that they have now passed the experience. So I am going to select pass as the status. And I don't need to change anything else because it is still the same course, same code. So I click save, and now I can see that the student has 300 hours and they are passing. There are some schools that prefer to add multiple records for the same school and the same course, and that is fine to do it that way. For example, this student here, same course, but each of these entries you see is less than 300. That's okay. These entries have different start and end dates. So if you want to enter all the data for the first couple of months of school and then do another entry for the next couple of months, that is fine. You just want to make sure that you have different start and end dates on these entries. If they all have the same start and end date, then we are likely to think that these are just duplicate records. So you can see here, none of these individual entries are 300, but if you add them all up, they do add up to over 300, and that is fine. We are able to add those up as long as the entries are valid. Now to check if you have any issues with your entries, you can do your career readiness report. To get there, you want to go to reporting. You want to scroll down to Kentucky State Reporting. That's where you will find the Career Readiness Report. There are two options that you can do here. You can do a validation report, and this checks for errors, or you can do a Career Readiness Report. I'm first going to show you the validation report. You can do, for both of these, the format in HTML or CSV format. For validation report, I prefer HTML. I'm going to do this for Polk High School. And I'm going to select all grades. If you want to select only high school grades, that's fine, but this can be a helpful way to determine errors. Career readiness should only go on high school students' records. So if you had an elementary school student show up here, that could be an indication that somewhere there's a problem. So I'm going to generate this extract, and the validation report shows you potential errors. This first error here is it looks for valid or invalid codes. So you can see here the code is either missing or it's an invalid code. That means that this entry will not count. It also shows you if a student has something other than pass. Here the student has in progress. Now if it's the middle of the year, that's not necessarily a problem because they are still in progress. But before you close out for the year, you want to make sure that you change those in progress either to pass or to fail. Also, it shows records that have less than 300 hours. Again, if it's the middle of the year, not necessarily a problem, but you want to make sure that this is accurate. Also, for the student that has multiple entries, they are showing up here, but again, if you look at all of their hours added together, it is over 300, and that will count. It also gives you an error if there is no transcript entry shown. So this can be useful for just quickly checking if you have any mistakes. Now for the career readiness report, I prefer to do that in a CSV format. So again, I'm going to do Polk High School, all grades, click Generate Extract. And this will give you a report of all of the entries that you have for work-based learning. So here you can see the entries that show up. Now please note that the Career Readiness Report, it does filter out only students that have 300 or more hours. So again, this student right here is included, even though those individual entries are not 300 by themselves, they add up to over 300. So that student is included. And it only shows students that have a pass status. So if there are students missing from this report that you think should be on there, first check that they have 300 or more hours and that their pass status is P. I also wanted to show what happens if you do include an invalid code. So these first two codes here are valid. This last one is not valid. Okay, we don't know how many of these hours go with which code. So if one of these codes is invalid, we cannot use it. So again, please only use one state course code per entry. Now, if you have any questions about work-based learning, or if you want to know more about the work-based learning courses that are available, you can go to the KDE website on the Career and Technical Education homepage. Here under Resources, we have Career and Technical Education Resources. Our program of studies lists the valid CTE work-based learning courses, and that can be helpful to you. If you have any questions, then please contact us. Amy Tracy is the data manager. Me, Esty Stith, I'm the assistant data manager. You can reach both of us at this email address, kdectedataservices@education.ky.gov. And this is my phone number here if you prefer to contact us that way. So let us know if you need any help with your work-based learning data. We're happy to help. Thank you for joining me, and have a great rest of the day.